Hello again. I apologize about the background. I am currently at my boyfriend's house. I had a little bit of apartment issues just today and just general and last night. So I definitely do apologize about that. However, it is in English, so it's not as bad because I'm not studying. So I already did 9.1 last week. And I already turned it in and everything because there was only a page number and the page number went through 9.1. So I just went and I did 9.1. So I completed that. So this week I just did 9.2, 9.3, the ones that I did not do. So 9.2, for the study question, I thought the message was similar, like I could definitely see where I was going. However, it wasn't like pristine, my best work, just because this has been a very, very different exercise in relation to repetition, just hearing it, repeating, multitasking is extremely different and a lot harder. So for number 2, it did impact me a lot. It was very difficult. It was hard to focus on the signer rather than focusing on the distractor. It was hard to do both at the same time. For number 3, yes, some parts were great at repeating, others were really struggling. For number 4, it was hard to write, listen, and repeat at the same time. Very, very hard. Number 5, it got easier the second time around because I already previously knew what the information was about. And for the 5-step analysis, I went ahead and observed and I circled the selections. Places that I made error are in line number 6, grandparents' daughter, their youngest daughter, my Aunt Giselle. Just the way he phrases the first time, I totally messed up. I just said my Aunt Giselle, and I missed that whole first sentence. In the household of my grandparents, and that's how I ended up growing as Cuban as I did. Growing up as Cuban as I did, that's in the 5th line, definitely messed that up. So just some examples of where I messed up, and yeah. So for number 4 assessment, I would say I dedicated about 40% to the distractors and about 60% to listening and repeating, but it was still very difficult. I could see myself flopping that number most likely, just because it was really, really hard. This was definitely a really hard task to do. For number 5, definitely I'm going to practice more on this now that I know that multitasking is a struggle of mine. I'm going to go ahead and just keep on repeating while having a distracting task to do at hand. For 9.3, I definitely did struggle a lot with this exercise as well. It definitely wasn't fun for me. It was definitely a big struggle. I couldn't figure out why my brain was doing what it was doing. I couldn't figure out how to, not necessarily cheat, but understand how can I get through this easier. Just kept struggling and struggling and struggling. It just was very, very time consuming just because I was not good at, multitasking along with the lines of the transcript. It was very long. So for number 1, I struggled a lot with this exercise in comparison to number 2. A lot more with this one, just because maybe I think it was numbers and that it was involved with a lot of numbers and listening to numbers. All the numbers that the speaker Pam was saying in the video, I messed up on. So this is telling me, okay, Lisa, you might have a problem with numbers. For number 2, I found myself just writing, scribbles. Just writing scribbles, trying to repeat, writing scribbles, and then looking down, and it was 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, blah, 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 blah. It was not in order, it was not by twos, and it was definitely, scribbled at the end. Because I wasn't obviously focusing on both tasks at hand. 50-50, or 60-40, or 30-70. It was not even, and so that made it hard for me. Number 3, it definitely threw off. I wanted to listen intently to Pam, but while listing off numbers, I just couldn't separate it in my brain. So again, this whole struggling thing of just separating the two concepts in my head and being able to do them both efficiently at the same time was very hard. I gained with Pam, so I gained time and repetition and being able to focus when Pam made long pauses, or when I just, I would pause it, debrief, kind of relax, kind of take a couple deep breaths, and then go ahead, and then the first couple sentences were spot on, and then after that it was scribble again. So do this extra again, but write the numbers 1 to 100 by counting by threes. You see, I already struggled with twos. Threes was even harder. And so this just made me so frustrated. I was like, Elisa, you don't even know how to count, and you can't, like, it was just like, ooh, like, how do I improve this? Like, really, like, it's a really hard task to do, like, and I was just struggling with myself, like, okay, like, what can I do to better myself in the future? So, and it was just a lot of it was a lot of information. For the 5-step follow-up, for number 3, the writing numbers while listening to numbers, incredibly difficult, because I'm writing a different number and I'm listening to a different number at the same time, and they in no way correlate with each other, and so that made it really hard. For number 4, I would say pretty serious. I would say that this is something definitely one of my weaknesses. I'm definitely going to have to keep practicing on this. Again, practicing makes perfect. And for number 5, I just kept saying, practicing my skill, practice multitasking, practice listening to the radio while driving, practice, having a meaningful, engaged conversation while, coloring or doing arts and crafts, or, like, trying to do both at the same time. Both 2 activities that, require a lot of attention at the same time. And this will help me, with my my future multitasking skill. So I'm really sad because this is my last video. I have learned so much from these books, Vicky. I can't even tell you. It's been so brilliant and so wonderfully prepped and prepared with this class. I have learned so much just about my brain and how I organize things and how I do things, and how maybe this is better and this is my weakness, and, like, it's really been really just helpful overall just to understand who I am and how I approach certain things. And honestly, very blessed. I am so happy that I'm ending the class on this point in this page of my life. It's been just a blessed road, and I will see you later. Bye!